The most common question I get asked every single day is Destiny, how do I improve my fighting? Whether it's having bad aim, doing bad peaks, or just straight up not knowing how to win fights that you should be winning, I'm going to break down everything in this video for you guys, for how you can become a smarter fighter within the next 30 minutes. What I've done is I've gone through every single one of Muzz's kills from the Cash Cup Opens that he won, as well as all of the finals games versus good players where he's still able to get high elims, and he does this without taking lots of damage, as well as by playing extremely smart in every single fight. I've broken down every single little bit of detail for you guys, as well as all the strategies and simple techniques that you can copy. And the things that Muzz does aren't so advanced that not everybody can copy them. They are so simple to do, so effective, and they're going to make you a 10 times better fighter by the end of the video. Please leave a like and let's get started. In this off-spawn fight in the highest elo possible in the solo Cash Cup Opens, Muzz does a really nice play to start off with. As you can see, the opponent is playing off this top right hand peak, and Muzz spots and looks where the opponent is. It's really important, guys, that you look where somebody is in the box, as well as what is inside the box, right? No cone, no stair. So Muzz does a really smart play. He uses the tack sprint with the nitro to give himself the speed boost and places a rotated ramp inside the guy's box. Now, this guy can't do his peak in return, and Muzz immediately does another very nice play. He sprints forward and grabs the backward, prevent this guy from backpedaling, preventing this guy from getting out of this awkward piece that he's in, and he's keeping the guy in the awkward situation. Then, knowing the guy, since he's in an awkward situation, wants to do a trade shot, he wants to do a bad peak to get himself and bail out of that situation, what Muzz does is he tack sprints out of the way, repositions himself, grabs the sidewall, and now he's set up on this right hand peak. He's got that cone that he can reset and block off his angle if he needs, and just by playing this really simple peak right here, he's able to take the opponent out as they run out of mats. Such basic fundamentals of fighting, but he's applying them so well, and that is why Muzz is such a smart fighter. Right here, Muzz runs into the worst type of player that you can fight against in a solo Cash Cup, a Rebox warrior. He pieces the guy straight away, but the guy's able to get out and immediately uses all of the mats that they've got available to rebox as many times as possible. Look, the guy, upon getting pressured a little bit here and realizing that Muzz is on his walls, look what he does. He immediately just makes 2 more metal boxes, not even trying to fight back or do anything back. So what Muzz does is very, very smart. First things first is he conditions the guy and sort of preps the guy by doing these little jump peaks. This guy thinks, oh, this guy's just going to play slow, he's going to let me heal up and get my heals off. So what does Muzz do upon conditioning this guy thinking into making him play slow? He tack sprints in. I can't believe he did this play. Tack sprints in, goes for the jumping left-hand peak, and because the fact that he's doing this with tack sprint, it's such a hard shot to hit. So by the time this guy reacts to Muzz jumping in, look, Muzz is already sliding. He's completely protected behind the guy's cone. He's in the guy's full piece, using him against him, and then does a very nice peak, does a little sort of spacebar peak to get a nice advantage, and then does even more crazy movement to get towards this guy and to catch him off guard. And at this point, all Muzz needs to do is run in with a nitro right here. There's the shotgun replacing the stair, and does just the crosshair technique to take the guy out. Not trying to do anything too crazy, lets the guy run towards him, and he's able to take him out. Right here, Muzz runs into somebody playing a DMR first game of an Opens of a solo Cash Cup. So of course, Muzz has to W key them and crash pad on their head. And upon realizing that this guy isn't the best player, this is where Muzz does something very, very simple. I'm just going to call it the Crosshair Technique, where instead of trying to do builds and edits on your opponent, all you do right here, like you can see, this guy's just completely clueless running about. All you do is put your crosshair on your opponent. You use visual audio to figure out where the horizontal place is, put your crosshair, and then you just sort of track where the guy is through his build to get free shots off. And the reason why this technique, in my opinion, is so successful is because people at any elo always do bad edits, right? Like right here, what is this guy's edit that he's going to do? Look at his positioning, look at where his crosshair is going to be after he does the edit. He's just completely off, and this is why the crosshair technique is so valuable, because it allows you to get opening damage on the opponent when they edit up, as well as if you react quick enough and get your wall ups up quick enough, you can always block the shot and then go for another shot straight after. It is so simple, but Muzz does it the entire time. Alright, this next fight and the next kill that Muzz gets takes 3 separate defensive box fights, and he shows 3 very useful techniques that you guys can copy. So first things first, he does a pretty bad peak right here. This guy hits him with a bang, gets hit to 50 HP. So what does Muzz do? He immediately builds a bunch of space and flips the stair as well, so he's not in that 50-50 position. And upon realizing the guy is in this bad situation, right, he's under the stair. Muzz has got the centerpiece in his own box as well as the wall on the guy. Muzz does a nice counter peek, as you can see. There's a window counter peek, not doing an open edit where the guy can just walk in. Does a window counter peek and immediately builds the wall and then continues to make even more space. And this is a very useful technique you guys can do, especially when there's a lot of players nearby. Like there's like 5 players right here trying to third party Muzz. He builds this L-shaped box to make it very hard for him to get W keyed, as well as he builds another L-shaped box, right? It's extremely hard for somebody to pressure Muzz. He's got loads of hard map boxes, as well as he's doing these stairs back away, right? Just doing stairs towards where people are pressuring you from is very good for not dying. Now let's speed forward into this next example from Muzz being defensive. So right here, he does a pretty bad trade versus this opponent. he gets cracked, he gets hit to low HP. So what does Muzz do? He pops minis as the guy comes over towards him. So if he does have to fight, he's got that 50 HP advantage. Then, upon realizing the guy's just got height, he's not going to aggro him, what does Muzz do? Builds another 2x1, and then does this very nice technique. He reboxes below in hard mats. So if this guy was to pressure Muzz and was to try to break, he wouldn't actually interrupt Muzz's medkit, so Muzz can now get to 150 HP, as well as the actual peak Muzz has got right here. He's not reset it. He actually has a counter peak with this floor, right? You can see this floor that Muzz has got allows him to do counter peaks if this guy was to jump into his box, and gives him a right peak advantage. Now, upon getting his heals off, Muzz turns up the tempo. He's got a slight HP advantage on this other player, and of course Muzz wants to maintain that HP advantage, so he's very cautious with his peaks. He's not doing any like instant bad peaks. He's doing smart window peaks, things like that, to not trade damage when he's not got the most mats or the most heals left. And now he's going to get into one more defensive fight. This is the one that I want you guys to pay attention to. As you can see, opponent, he cracks him. Even though that Muzz has got the HP advantage, he's just cracked the opponent, he is still playing defensive, right? You don't just want to turn every fight into a build fight or a box fight. Try to play defensive when you can. So Muzz does this very nice technique. He's using the left-hand wall on the 2x1 that he's been doing all of this video. He does the left-hand wall to give himself this right-hand peek onto the opponent. Does the cones, gets a little bit of damage advantage onto the opponent, and very simply, he's waiting for the opponent to make a mistake. The guy tries to run in, Muzz is able to hold the wall, stop him from running in. So what does Muzz do? He gets the top right-hand peak, gets the cone off, gets a quick shot off, and immediately resets the wall. It's so important, guys, when you're on the defensive, you're not trading damage. Even though he could just trade the 2 shots here and then heal up with the minis after, it's not worth trading the damage. When you can, reset the wall, get the full piece on the opponent, gets all of the back walls, and now peeks in with a shotgun and the SMG and takes out the opponent. Really good basic fighting from Muzz. Nothing in there that you guys can't do, but he changed it together so well, and that's what makes him such a good fighter. In my last video, I talked about how the most common fighting mistake I see players of all levels making is defensive fighting. So let's take a look at what makes Muzz so good at defensive fighting, and there's a lot of things you guys can learn from this. First things first, he gets hit 60 straight away. So what should you do? Build a 2x1. Very classic stuff. But the key thing with Muzz right here is he's not building cones or spamming everything in his box. He's saving mats, being conservative. And the key thing with this is he's letting this opponent make a mistake, right? From this guy's POV, he's like, oh, this guy's shit, right? He's not building anything in his box. He's not got cones on him. So what am I going to do? It's going to pressure straight away. And look how Muzz plays this. I'll play it in slow motion. Opponent pulled out the pickaxe, and Muzz immediately get a shot. Muzz isn't actually doing anything apart from editing a floor. He's just waiting for a mistake from the opponent. The guy pulled out the pickaxe, Muzz is able to capitalize on that, get a bit of damage, and now what does Muzz do? Instead of playing passively in the box down below and healing up fully while he's got the damage advantage on the opponent, what does Muzz do? He turns up the tempo. He does this really nice build technique. I'd recommend you guys practicing this, where you tack sprint out the side with nitro and you get up 2 layers. Really useful thing that you can do right there. And because he's going so fast, he's turned up the tempo so quickly on this opponent, he's able to catch the guy completely off guard. When you're defensive, guys, you can't just sit in a box the whole time. You need to wait for a mistake. When that mistake happens, turn up the tempo. And Muzz does it really nicely here. Sprays the wall, gets the cone in the box as the nitro breaks it, and he's able to take out the opponent really efficiently. One of the most simple ways that you guys can get better at fights is learning, first of all, how not to die in certain situations and how not to take risks. As you can see right here, Muzz is trying to get the forecast box. Obviously important that he tries to get this. However, he still has the objective claimed and built around. So what he does, as soon as he hears that nitro pop, it just backs up and stabilizes for a second. Do not be afraid to play slow, play safe for a couple seconds, especially when you're fighting somebody that you're not too sure, right? The fight's been going on for a long period of time. You might know how the other player is playing, but as you can see right here, Muzz isn't too sure about this other player. The guy just snuck in, and he immediately hears that nitro pop, and he takes no risks. He backs up, he resets his cone, he scouts out through the cone right here after holding his wall to make sure he's completely safe. And this is where something very interesting happens. Opponents start third partying right next to him, but because Muzz has been playing safe and slow, he's not been taking risks, he's not getting greedy for the loot like the forecast card, what he does is gets the awareness check on the opponent. I can't tell you guys how important doing awareness checks is for refreshes as well as just for catching people off guard in game, and Muzz does it absolutely perfectly there. He's able to get the mythic loot as well as the forecast card, and that basically perfectly sets him up for the rest of this game. It's so important that you guys learn these little things in fights, how and when to play safe, as well as making sure that you're choosing the correct timings to fight opponents so you can get those awareness checks. This next fight, Muzz does a load of really smart things to end the fight, as well as how to deal with the third party that comes straight after. So first things first is this very classic situation. Opponent's 1 layer above you, Muzz blocks his head so the guy can't get this shot off, and then immediately does the sprinting side jump. The left-hand sprinting side jump is so effective, gets a little bit of chip damage, and now he gets the high wall and the stair above the opponent. And right here, rather than doing the classic falling into the guy where you edit, get the floor, and then edit the floor and just fall into a 50-50 shot, look what Muzz does. He goes to the very top of the stair, looks where the opponent is, and does a very hard and awkward, unpredictable edit for the opponent. So from the opponent's POV, he can't even see Muzz. He can like barely see his feet as Muzz lines up the shot. And it's so important that you guys realize somebody's play style. So you can see right here, the guy's just standing with the shotgun up, trying to aim duel with the gatekeeper. So Muzz does a smart, unpredictable edit that's going to catch this guy off by surprise. And of course, Muzz finishes it really well. Look what he does. He does a quick floor edit, gets the back wall, resets and holds the floor. And of course, this guy is going to shoot the floor, and Muzz doesn't even hold the floor. Instead, he just allows himself to fall into it as the guy breaks his floor and hits the shot. But unfortunately, the guy gets a shot off just before he dies. So of course, whenever you trade a shot, somebody's going to be right there trying to third party, and Muzz deals with his third party really well. Look what he does. He immediately stops his heals. This is so important. He doesn't try to force heals when he's lower and the third party's coming in, because the guy could just run straight in with Nitro or just exploit straight in. So what he does is he makes 3 brick boxes and immediately reloads his guns, gets himself ready for this guy, and upon the guy smacking on his wall once, Muzz does a pre-fire, and the guy runs away. And that is so important. It might just look like the guy just ran away, didn't want to fight, but because Muzz isn't instantly popping the cola while the guy is pressuring and while he's in those old builds, because he makes that space, he makes it awkward for himself to die, the guy no longer wants to commit to the fight. This guy's stacked, he's just seeing if he can get a free third party and free loot. He doesn't actually need this fight, and that's so important you guys realize when you can avoid third parties just by playing it slow, making boxes and holding your shotgun out is so important. Alright, this is one of the last fights in the video, and it's a long one, so I want to break everything down in as much detail as possible for you guys. First of all, Muzz is using this stealthy combat AR to get a little volume damage. Then he swaps to a swap weapon they had on the floor and immediately uses the dashes to close the distance. But he doesn't just want to turn this into a build fight, right? You never really want to be in a situation where you're just turning random fights into build fights. So what Muzz does is intentionally chop this guy out a few times and then tries to get damage as the guy's falling. You can see he tries to get some shots on the guy as he's getting chopped out, and he also does this very nice play. One thing you can do whenever you're fighting somebody in this game is try to condition them into thinking you're going to do a certain thing and then changing it up, right? So Muzz just chopped this player out once, so what Muzz does straight away is he baits that he's going to chop the other player out and then swaps the angle to try to get some counter damage if the guy was to peek him or pressure him at all. So you can see, really simple play. He's chopped him out once and then he baits the chop out and tries to go for some damage on the other player. Doesn't quite work out that time, as you can see. So he continues to chop the other player out. He's conditioned him again. He's chopping out over and over. The guy thinks, oh, this guy's just going to keep chopping me. He gets some more dashes. Look, he acts as if he's going to chop out again by playing slow and immediately dashes up to this other player, takes height once, does it again, there's a nice high wall to not 50-50, you never want a 50-50, you can do something like that, and now he's going to approach the other player and pressure him above. I really like this double shotgun replace to catch the other player off. That can often work really well when somebody's making a bunch of space in brick or something like that. Just double using the gatekeeper, shooting the wall twice to take it, and then going for a quick shot can work to get some more opening damage. But here, Muzz slows down the fight, right? The guy's got his heals off, the fight has sort of equalized. So what you want to do is try to pressure the opponent without risking too much, right? You don't just want hopping straight on a wall. So what Muzz does is he replaces from above, does this very nice peek angle from side right here, behind the wall. He's fully protected, so the guy can't get a shot off. He can also reset the wall very easily if he needs to, and he keeps on pressuring. But you can see at this point, he's got the double edit from, the top. The guy can't really reset this easily. He's also got the cone. So what he does is he just pressures forward with the pistol a lot, right? You can see 27 reloads. The guy is now panicking a little bit. He's running low on mats. He's forced into making a play. You can see this guy thinking, oh, I need to make a play and run at him. So what Muzz does, pressures again, gets the white tag, and then now, as the guy comes out, he slows down the tempo. Whenever you have an advantage in the fight, you don't need to keep on pushing advantage, trying to trade a shot, especially with third parties around. All he does is blocks off all of his angles, baits the chop out for the 4th time this fight, as you can see, baits it out, and the guy tries to run away, and Muzz just uses visual audio to track him over his head and takes him out very nicely without literally losing a single thing in that fight. Used a little bit of mats, but he doesn't waste any heals, waste any shield or anything during that fight, and he's able to take the other player out very cleanly. One of the best ways that you guys can get better at fighting is just by learning how to get more damage, especially when you start a fight and you're third partying. So Muzz does this really well. First of all, he makes sure to hit the Fizz in combination with the Nitro ring, and this means that when he lands, he presses crouch and space, which allows him to bunny hop 3 times. Especially when you're running around with the mythic coin, people are going to see you on the map, but if you do that technique, you can get really close to people without them even realizing. And he does it again basically here. Instead of using the Nitro splashes, which show up on visual audio, people can hear it, they'll know there's a third party nearby. Instead, he just taps his Fizz again, hits the crash pad straight over, and gets in a perfect opportunity to third party. And this is what you guys should be doing thing. If you want to end fights quick when you're third party, not just running up and trying to get beam with AR, but instead crash padding in like this allows you to get a lot of free kills, especially when the players are low HP. One very useful technique you can do as you use your SMG pressure is by doing long edits. So Muzz does this by going ahead and approaching the 2x1 this guy's got on the long side. So he's not on the wide side, you know, the 2 side. Instead, he's just on the single side and he's pressuring from a distance. The first thing that Muzz does is he shotguns the wall, so the wall's already low HP. And I'll watch it from this guy's perspective. Look how quickly he dies. Gets his wall pumped. His first reaction is to edit and return fire. And immediately, Muzz does that 6-tile edit. The guy's caught completely off guard. He messes up his side edit and he dies. Again, it's a very simple technique. All you're doing is pressuring the walls non-stop by using your shotgun on the wall. And then as soon as Muzz grabs that wall, he's not trying to do anything too complicated. Just doing a wide edit and then pressuring forward with the SMG. Again, not even closing the distance down. Just pressuring with the SMG, forcing the other guy to make a mistake, and he takes him out. One thing that Muzz is really good at is baiting out opponents. So you can see right here, I'll show a couple of examples of how he does this. First things first is he baits out the pickaxe swing, pulls out his pickaxe and then swaps back to his shotgun. Very classic move, but it's really good to do, and it catches a lot of people out who are instant editors. Then right here, he actually goes ahead and breaks the floor, but the key thing is he's not replacing it. Look what he does. He breaks it and immediately pulls out his SMG, uses the visual audio to have his crosshair lined up already, and gets more damage onto the opponent, basically out-trades the opponent, even though the guy got his shotgun shot off. Now, this is a very nice play by Muzz. He makes it look like he's going to run into the box, so now the guy that wastes a shot doing a pre-fire, now the guy needs to reload his gun, right? He's already used a couple of bullets. So now Muzz commits onto the wall. Only at this point does he commit onto the wall because the guy needs to rebox, the guy needs to reload. So what Muzz does, pressures the wall once, shotgun replace, gets the crack right there, and then now swaps up his angle, doesn't chase the guy into his old builds, which is very risky to do. Instead, just swaps up the angle and gets a free kill right there. This is a very useful technique you guys can use whenever you're in a bad situation. Like, as you can see right here, Muzz is in a fight, there's a lot of players nearby. He decides to get in on this one player, but obviously he can't stay in this box. Only one of the walls is his. It's a very scuffed situation. So what he does is he trades places with Italian Jeff right there, gets out of the box and reboxes, and now he's got the edit control, and he's able to use that into actually getting a kill. Then take a look at the patience that Muzz shows versus this next player. As you can see, other guys trying to get all the loot. So what Muzz does is stabilize for a second, holds everything, and he lets the opponent break the wall. Even right here, he's not instant editing. He's letting the opponent break the wall while Muzz holds it. Then he opens up the edit as the guy's running out of ammo, as you can see, and the guy's caught in a bad spot. Then again, holds the wall for a second, gets another 50 white tag, but doesn't commit into the fight. Instead, he knows the loot is more important to grab, and this guy isn't going to be able to fight back against Muzz, especially when you're playing smart angles. Like even right here, rather than just committing to running into the box, instead what Muzz is doing is just reloading his guns, making sure he's fully ready. He's never doing more than one pickaxe swing on a wall. So when he does actually get into the box, he catches the guy completely unaware and is able to almost kill him right there as he jumps in. It's very important that you guys learn how to be patient, especially when somebody's 1 HP. You shouldn't just be trying to end the fight as quick as possible. Instead, what you should be doing is always making sure you're playing smart angles. You're not putting yourself in awkward situations. You're not doing dumb 50-50s. So when it comes time to actually taking out the opponent, as you can see right here from Muzz, all he does, lets the guy peek him, lets the guy think he's doing something smart, and then gets into the box as a shotgun replace and takes out the opponent. This is one of those basic fighting techniques that Muzz does pretty much every single fight. As you can see, he's ramping towards the opponent, very classic scenario, and he lets the opponent get these high ramps on him, and instead of focusing on getting a cone or getting, piecing that up, instead what Muzz does is just sprints out to the side with the nitro popped using the attack sprint. This means that he's constantly looking for damage. You can see him do it exactly right here, sprinting out to the side, out to the left-hand side typically, and this means that he is a much easier shot on the opponent because the opponent's sort of standing still down there, compared to Muzz, who's flying way up in the air. It's a very sharp, hard shot to actually get a big pump on. Then Muzz changes this into a very simple bit of piece control using the movement acceleration he's got. He's not focused on getting all of the back walls right here. He just gets one wall and then prioritizes getting damage off, which is really key. Don't just get too flashy with the piece control. Focus on where the opponent is. Can you get damage off and can you win the aim duel like Muzz did? One of the absolute best things about watching Muzz and learning from Muzz is he does so many little simple things that you guys can copy easily, but he does it in a very efficient manner, which is why he's so good at fighting. So first things first, this opponent, when he's third party, gets straight on his wall. So what should the reaction be? Should it be to edit this wall? Should we try to hold it? Should we try to do an immediate peek and try to get a pre-fire on the guy? No, instead what Muzz does, really basic technique, metal stare in the box so the guy can't break it straight away, and he edits the top right of his side wall and does attack sprint out. So simple, but as you can see from this guy's POV, because he's worried about the front wall, and Muzz has basically let him grab the front wall, now Muzz has got a perfect right-hand peek the entire time on the opponent, and is able to get a free shot. Just doing that tack sprint out of the right-hand side of your box is so strong, and the Muzz follows up with a nice little quick edit on that back wall that they had on the other player. Now the opponent is going to go ahead and box up, and take a look at how smartly Muzz approaches this box right here. What he does is he spots where the guy is standing. So as you can see, the guy's made the classic mistake of not having anything inside your box, as well as he is towards the back half of his box. You can always sort of tell where the center point of a box is just based on the builds, as well as just looking where the guy's feet is. Make sure not to do this technique when the guy's at the front or in the middle of the box. Always do it when they're on the back half. So what Muzz does is he pressures, he sprays, keeps his crosshair on the opponent through the build. So if the guy was to, not hold the wall, or if he was to try to pre-fire back, Muzz would be able to get some bleed-through damage on him at the same time, and then Muzz forces the stare in. So simple, but the reason why that force the stare in technique is so useful when people don't have builds in their box is because it immediately forces them into leaving their box, forces them into reboxing, because that box is compromised, they can't stay in there. So what does Muzz do? Knowing that this guy is probably going to leave his box either by going out from the side or the back, Muzz immediately jumps up to the top. There's a full box on the side, so he places, the top piece, the floor, as well as resets the floor. The reset the floor here is very, very important, because if the guy was to come out the side of the box, this is a very classic way of leaving the box, just Xing out the side like this, Muzz would be on like a right-hand peak for the other player. So this allows Muzz to basically stop that right-hand peak advantage and then immediately have the edit control on the other player while they're full boxed in. Luckily for this guy, he's able to rebox below, and then take a look at how smart is Muzz to end this fight, right? He's letting the opponent heal up. He's basically letting the guy stabilize for a second, but he knows he's in his full piece from earlier. Muzz made all these boxes. So what does Muzz do? Perfect right-hand peek, breaks, swings to the side, knows the guy's going to go for that pre-fire shot, and then just lines up a really nice right-hand peek to take him out. So many basic fighting techniques. I'm pretty sure I could do all of those techniques, but Muzz combines them really well to make sure he's not really taking too much damage in the fight, as well as making sure that he's able to end the fight while having minimal mats as well. One of the best strategies you can use if you want to catch a quick awareness check on somebody mid-game and you don't have a long-range weapon to get a beam off, is doing what Muzz does here. He spots somebody that he wants to sneak up on. As you can see, he wants to get more loot for this mid-game. So what he does is he sky ramps up on the opponent, and because of the distance that he's playing from here, he's about 40 meters away from the opponent, the guy has absolutely no audio as well as no visual footsteps on where Muzz is. So by the time the guy turns around and actually spots the ramp, Muzz is already landing directly on the guy's head and is able to take him out. You can also do this exact same thing with a Fizz as well as Nitro. It works extremely well for just getting free awareness checks on people as well as free loot during mid-game. This next fight is a perfect example of why the SMG is the best item in the game and you shouldn't be using pickaxes to replace walls. So first things first, Muzz opens the fight, gets a little bit of damage with the SMG, and this is a very important technique. Rather than approaching the wall the way that you just shot the guy from and he's going to be expecting you, instead what Muzz does is he ramps up very high and he immediately uses the SMG twice to take the wall. So by the time this guy reacts, he's thinking Muzz is going to be coming from over this way, Muzz has already sprint jumped over, got the sidewall, and got even more opening damage onto the opponent. Now Muzz slows down. He's going to wait and see exactly what this guy's reaction is, and the guy's reaction is to make even more space. So take a look at how Muzz pressures this. Shoots the wall once, waits for the reaction, and then shoots the wall again. Might seem simple, but it basically prevents Muzz from getting pre-fired as he double shoots the wall, and means the guy is forced into wasting even more of his shotgun ammo. Now Muzz commits forward with his SMG. The key thing is he's not getting super close to the wall. You can see he's still on the back half of the box. He's not getting super close to the wall, pickaxing this front wall. Instead, he's using the SMG, maintaining a little bit of distance, which allows him, as the guy reboxes out to the side, the guy goes out to the side, Muzz realizes, he's realizing the guy's not in this box anymore. He shouldn't be in this box in the guy's piece. So what does Muzz do? He backs up, reverses up, pulls out a shotgun, and takes out the opponent. It's so simple. All he is doing is tracking where the opponent is, waiting for the reaction the entire time while pressuring the SMG, and that's forcing the guy into making mistakes. One thing that Muzz is really good at is knowing how to predict opponents before they even know what they're going to do themselves. So as you can see from this example clip right here, Muzz is getting towards the opponent, he's shotgunning walls, replacing, pressuring the SMG, and then right here, this is the critical moment, right? He knows that this guy is going to counter peek, mainly because the guy is getting pressured, he's getting his builds taken, he wants to alleviate some of the pressure, get some damage off in return, allow himself to heal up. So what does Muzz do? What he does, really simply, whacks open it. This isn't a crazy peek. But the key thing is now he's got his shotgun out, he's ready for this counter pump. So the guy misses his shot, just barely misses Muzz since Muzz stopped. And now, with that purple pump, the range advantage of this shotgun, Muzz is able to get 100 tag on him right there. Now, Muzz runs forward towards the opponent, and this is a very nice technique you guys can do when you got nitro popped, is he smacks on the wall once, waits for the counter at it, and he knows that this guy, again, wants to get some damage onto Muzz. He wants to get, you know, a shot off, get a crack off, and allow himself to heal up. So what does Muzz do? Doesn't even give him the chance to get a shot off, blocks off the wall, as well as gets the cone up top at the same time, prevent him from reboxing, and then just instantly takes him out once the guy's got shotgun delay and he can't get any shots off in return. That entire fight, Muzz was always 1 or 2 steps ahead and allows him to end the fight so quickly. This next fight has 2 very useful techniques that you can do in terms of building, as well as crosshair placement, as well as how to take out players when they're not the best, so you're not just dying to those really bad players. So as you can see right here, this guy is not the best. He's building on wood, not looking too fresh. So what Muzz does is he gets this extended cone from around the side, uses the crosshair placement to get it on the side here, as well as in combination with that tack sprint with a nitro, he's able to get the wall on the opponent at the same time as well. Really useful. Then right here, he doesn't do the best edit. He tries to do a trade shot, and I'd really recommend avoiding doing trade shots versus bad players, right? That is how you die in certain situations, especially to killer chaos, right? Just running at you and 2-tacking you with the gatekeeper. So what Muzz does very smartly is he does an edit where the wall is now low HP, but he can't shoot the opponent, and critically, the opponent actually can't do damage to Muzz, right? This guy, if he wants to get out of his box, he's got to walk forward, he's got to use a shot walking forward, and this means that all Muzz needs to do is keep his crosshair on the opponent, wait for the guy to make the classic mistake of trying to run out and 2-tack you, and then now Muzz has the shot advantage. This guy's panicking, doesn't know what's going on, and Muzz is able to take him out. Really simple technique. Instead of trying to trade shots versus bad players, instead just do an edit where they can't see you and wait for them to break the wall or wait for them to try to run out, and you'll be able to take them out very simply without taking damage. Typically, it's the worst players that you die to in cash cups, so that's a very useful technique you can do. This next fight is actually Muzz versus Donnie, who's a pro with over 30k under. Muzz starts off this fight by taking 80 damage. I want to show you guys how he positions in boxes and what is so useful about how he plays in this fight. So as you can see, he's trying to pressure. He realizes Donnie's getting his heals off, so he's going to do the same thing. It's always fine to let a fight sort of stabilize, and right here he does this very nice play that I like, which is sitting way back in the box behind the cone and allowing the opponent to sort of break the wall. So by the time they actually break the wall, Donnie's the nice shotgun replace right there. Muzz is able to edit out the bottom, rebox, and he makes his 2-button. And this is the sort of first mistake that Muzz makes pretty much this whole video, in my opinion, is he doesn't have the cone on top of his head, and he gets awareness checked, right? Donnie hops in, but the only reason he gets awareness checked is because Donnie does it with his shotgun, as you can see. Donnie jumps straight in with a shotgun. He doesn't actually have a shotgun reloaded right here. So Muzz is able to do the tack sprinting while editing, gets out the box, gets to the side, and immediately maintaining that momentum of the tack sprint, he tack sprints again after building. He hops straight on the wall, is able to get this free shot lined up on Donnie, and then continues to tack sprint after him. As you can see, tack sprinting while editing the whole time. It allows him to get this extended wall from around the side. So that whole tile well, he gets both back walls right there, then gets the stare into the box, and then take a look at this edit selection. Spots where he is, as he edits right here, resets to make it easier, so he doesn't have to right-click reset, and then he goes ahead, drops Donnie down, and takes him out. Easy as that. Probably the easiest way that you guys can get better at fighting is just by working on your aim. If you guys want to join my Discord down below, I'm going to be posting a whole load of new aim routines this week from the masterclass, as well as a bunch of new maps that you can do to practice and get your aim into the best form possible. Again, it's really simple. Just by having good crosshair placement and making sure your mouse movement is smooth, you're going to be getting insane kills like Muzz does in these clips, and Muzz probably has some of the best aim in the world.